The silence is what gets to me most. 6 months of silence. Texts ignored, calls unanswered, social media profiles that blocked me before I could even explain. I sit in my apartment in Tampa, the one I used to share with Ethan, and practice conversations I'll never have with a man who won't even acknowledge I exist anymore. I was scared, I tell the empty room. I just needed to slow things down. But that's not true, is it? I wasn't scared. I was playing games, and now I'm sitting alone in an apartment I can barely afford, learning that when you gamble with someone's heart, sometimes you lose everything. It started 8 months ago at a rooftop bar in Ybor City. My friend Jasmine dragged me out after another failed Tinder disaster. Some finance bro who spent the entire date showing me his crypto portfolio and explaining why women didn't understand investments. I was ready to swear off men entirely when Ethan approached our table. "I'm sorry to interrupt," he said, and actually looked sorry. "But I wanted to buy you both around before my friends drag me to another bar. No strings, no weird pickup lines. Just thought you should know someone noticed you're the most interesting people here." He left money with the bartender and walked away, no hovering, no expecting numbers or attention in return. Just a quiet gesture. And then he was gone. I watched him rejoin his friends, laughing at something one of them said, not even glancing back at our table. "Now that," Jasmine said, "is how it's done." I sent him a drink 20 minutes later with a napkin note. "Thanks for not being weird." The interesting people. He came back to say thanks, we talked for 2 hours, and I gave him my number without any games or pretense. For once, I just liked someone and acted like it. Novel concept for me. Our first date was mini golf at a place that served craft beer and played 90s music. He was terrible at golf, but laughed at himself, celebrated when I got a hole-in-one, and didn't once try to teach me how to hold the club properly like every other man I'd dated. "I should warn you," he said over our second beer. "I'm looking for something real." "If you're just looking for casual, that's cool, but I wanted to be upfront." "Define real," I said, even though I knew exactly what he meant. "Someone to build something with." Sunday farmers markets, meeting each other's families, the whole thing. I'm 28. I'm over the games. I told him I wanted the same thing. At the time, I thought I meant it. We took things slow at first. Dinner dates, long walks through Hyde Park, cooking together at his place. He remembered everything I told him, from my coffee order to my mother's birthday. When I mentioned loving sunflowers, he didn't show up with a bouquet. He drove me to a sunflower farm outside Plant City instead, where we spent the afternoon talking about dreams and taking pictures in the golden light. The first time we slept together was 3 months in. He'd cooked dinner at his apartment. Nothing fancy, just pasta and good wine. And we were dancing in his kitchen to John Mayer when he kissed me like he'd been waiting to do it properly. "You sure?" he asked when I started leading him to his bedroom. "I'm sure." It wasn't just sex. It was connection, vulnerability, something I'd never really had before. Afterward, he held me and talked about wanting to take me to his family's lake house, about the trips he wanted us to take, about building something that lasted. I should have been happy. I had everything my friends were looking for, a good-looking guy with a steady job in software development, who communicated clearly, treated me like gold, and actually wanted commitment, but something in me started to itch. "He's too available," I told Jasmine over brunch. "Like he always texts back right away, always has time for me. It's kind of boring." "You're insane," she said. "Do you know how many women would kill for a man who actually prioritizes them?" But I'd been raised on a different narrative. My mother always told me men needed to chase, that giving them everything too easily made them lose respect. My Instagram feed was full of dating coaches talking about feminine energy and making him invest. The books I read said successful women intimidated men unless we knew how to manage the dynamic. So I started pulling back. Just little things at first, taking longer to respond to texts, saying I was busy when I wasn't, canceling plans last minute to maintain mystery. Ethan noticed but didn't play along. "Hey, if you need space, just tell me," he said one night. "I'd rather you be honest than whatever this is." "I don't know what you mean." "You canceled 3 times this week, Melanie. If you're not feeling this anymore, we can talk about it." But I didn't want to end things. I just wanted, I don't know, drama, passion, for him to fight for me. I wanted to feel powerful, wanted to know I could control the dynamic. 5 months in, we were official, exclusive, practically living together. His toothbrush at my place, my work clothes in his closet. We'd met each other's families. His mom had already started hinting about grandchildren. Everything was perfect and stable and completely terrifying to someone who'd only known chaos as love. That's when I decided to execute my power move. We were at his place on a Thursday night, curled up watching Netflix after he'd cooked dinner again. He was tracing patterns on my arm, completely content, when I sat up and announced I needed to talk. "I've been thinking," I said, using the script I'd rehearsed. "We moved really fast. I think we should take a step back." His hand stilled. "What kind of step back?" "I want to stop being intimate. Go back to just dating. No sleepovers, no sex. I need to take back my power in this relationship." "Take back your what?" He sat up, genuinely confused. "Melanie, what are you talking about?" "What power? We're equals here." "You don't get it. I gave too much too soon. I need you to see me as a proper woman, not just someone you can have whenever you want. I've never treated you as someone I can just have." "We're in a relationship. We love each other. At least I love you." "This is exactly why I need to do this," I said, warming to my theme. "You're too comfortable. You assume I'll always be available. I need to reset the dynamic." He was quiet for a long moment, studying my face. "Where is this coming from?" "Did someone say something? Your mom?" "This is my decision. If you respect me, you'll respect it." "Melanie, I've respected you from day one. This isn't about respect. This is about control. You're literally telling me you want power over me." "That's not..." "You used those exact words. You want to take back your power. What power did you lose? When have I ever made you feel powerless?" I couldn't answer because he hadn't. He'd been nothing but supportive, encouraging, present. But that was the problem. Where was the challenge? The uncertainty that made my friends analyze every text? The push and pull that every movie promised was real passion? "I just need this," I said. "If you care about me, you'll understand." He stood up, ran his hands through his hair. "So let me get this straight. You want us to go backward, to pretend we haven't been together for 5 months, haven't said we love each other, haven't talked about the future? You want me to, what, court you again? Take you on formal dates and drop you off at your door?" "Yes." "And this is because you think it will make me respect you more?" "Yes." "Even though I already respect you completely?" I shrugged, trying to seem mysterious and confident when really I was just following advice from women who'd never held a healthy relationship. Ethan walked to his window, looking out at downtown Tampa's lights. When he turned back, his face was different, closed off in a way I'd never seen. "You know what?" "No." "No?" "No, I'm not playing this game. I'm not pretending I don't love you to make you feel powerful. I'm not jumping through hoops to prove something I've already proven every single day. If you don't feel respected and valued in this relationship, after everything I've done to show you that you are, then we have bigger problems than your need for power." "You're overreacting." "Am I?" "You just told me you want to manipulate the dynamic of our relationship for control. Do you even hear yourself? It's not manipulation. I just want power. You want power. You said it multiple times." He grabbed his keys from the counter. "I need to think." "Please, be gone when I get back." "Ethan, wait!" But he was already out the door. I sat in his apartment, stunned. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. He was supposed to fight for me, promise to win me over again, make me feel desired and pursued. Instead, he just left. I waited an hour, then 2, before finally gathering my things. I texted him on the drive home. I'm sorry. Can we talk tomorrow? He didn't respond. The next morning, I woke to a long text. Melanie, I've thought about this all night. I love you, but I can't be with someone who sees our relationship as a power struggle. I've been genuine with you from day one. If that's not enough, if you need games and manipulation to feel valued, then we want different things. I wish you the best, but I'm done. I called immediately. Voicemail. Called again. His phone was off. I drove to his apartment that evening with apology flowers and his favorite takeout. His roommate answered the door. He doesn't want to see you, Tyler said, actually looking sad about it. He told me what happened. Why would you do that to him? He was crazy about you. I made a mistake. Please, just tell him I'm here. He's not even here. Went to stay with his brother in Orlando for the weekend. Melanie, I've known Ethan for 10 years. He's the most straightforward, loyal guy I know, but when he's done, he's done. And you playing power games? You pushed the one button that would make him walk. I spent the weekend spiraling. Called my mom, who said I'd done the right thing, that men needed to work for what they wanted. Called Jasmine, who told me I was an idiot and deserved to lose him. Scrolled through dating advice on social media until the conflicting messages made my head spin. Monday morning, I showed up at his office building at lunch, desperate to fix things. Please, I said when he walked out and saw me. Just 5 minutes. He checked his watch. You have until I reach my car. I followed him through the parking garage, words tumbling out. I was wrong. I was scared because everything was too good, too easy. I've never had someone just love me without drama, and I didn't know how to handle it. I thought I needed to create tension to keep you interested. That's the thing, Melanie. I was interested. I was all in. You didn't need to create anything. I know that now. Please, can we just forget this happened? He stopped at his car, finally looking at me fully. No, we can't. Because now I'll always wonder when you're going to pull another power move, when you're going to decide again that being loved isn't enough, that you need control instead. I can't live like that. I won't do it again. You revealed who you are. Someone who thinks relationships are about power instead of partnership. That's not what I want. Ethan, please. I love you. I don't think you know what that means, he said quietly, getting in his car. Love isn't about power. It's about vulnerability. And you just showed me you're not capable of that. He drove away, and that was the last time he spoke to me. I tried everything over the following weeks. Texts, calls, emails explaining and apologizing. Showed up at places I knew he'd be, only to watch him walk away without acknowledging me. His friends, who'd become my friends, chose sides, his side. My social media filled with pictures of group dinners I wasn't invited to, beach days where my spot remained empty. A month later, Jasmine told me she'd seen him at a coffee shop in Soho, alone, working on his laptop, looking good but different somehow. Did he see you? I asked, trying not to sound desperate. Yeah, he nodded, then went back to his screen. Professional, polite, done. She hesitated. Mel, he's not dating anyone. My cousin works at his gym, says he's there every morning at 5 a.m. now, throwing himself into work and fitness, classic post-breakup behavior. So maybe. No, don't even think it. Tyler told me Ethan's been turning down every woman who approaches him. Says he's not interested in dating for a while. You really messed him up. That made it worse, somehow. If he'd moved on quickly, I could tell myself our relationship hadn't meant much. But knowing he was alone by choice, rebuilding himself after what I'd done, that was a special kind of torture. I started seeing him everywhere and nowhere. The back of someone's head at Target that made my heart race until they turned around. A laugh at a restaurant that sounded so familiar I abandoned my dinner to check. His car, or what I thought was his car, in parking lots across the city. 3 months after our breakup, I finally saw him for real at the Gasparilla Music Festival. He was with a group of friends, beer in hand, watching some indie band we'd bought tickets for together back when we were planning our future. I watched him from across the field, noting how he'd lost weight, how his smile didn't quite reach his eyes even when his friends made him laugh. I'd had just enough liquid courage to approach him during a set break. "Ethan." He turned, and for a second I saw everything: surprise, pain, anger, sadness, before his face went carefully neutral. "Melanie?" His friends noticed me and immediately closed ranks, subtle but clear. These were people who'd welcomed me into their group, who'd included me in group chats and dinner plans. Now they looked at me like I was a threat. "Can we talk?" I asked. "Just for a minute?" "There's nothing to talk about. Please, I know I hurt you. I just want to apologize properly." "You've apologized." In texts, calls, emails, I got them all. "But you never responded." "Because I didn't have anything to say." He turned to fully face me, and the emptiness in his eyes was worse than anger would have been. "You wanted power, Melanie. You got it. The power to destroy something good, the power to be alone, the power to make your own choices without considering anyone else. Congratulations. Now please enjoy your festival." He walked away with his friends, and I heard one of them say, "You okay, man?" "Yeah," Ethan replied. "Just ghosts from the past." That's what I'd become, a ghost. I threw myself into self-improvement after that. Read every self-help book about attachment styles and toxic patterns. Joined a women's support group for relationship issues. Started journaling, meditating, doing yoga. All the things Instagram said would help me find myself. What I found was that I'd been lost long before Ethan. My parents' marriage was built on power plays and manipulation. My mother constantly testing my father's devotion. My father eventually checking out entirely. They stayed married but lived separate lives in the same house. I'd grown up thinking that was normal, that love meant constant tests and power struggles. "You recreated your parents' dynamic," Dr. Williams observed during one session. "But Ethan didn't follow the script." "He was supposed to fight for me," I said, still not fully understanding. "Prove he loved me enough to jump through hoops." Instead, he proved he loved himself enough not to. That hit hard. Ethan's self-respect, his refusal to play games, that was real strength. My power moves were just weakness dressed up as control. To prove I was moving on, I let Jasmine set me up on a date. Nice guy, lawyer, checked all the boxes. He played the game perfectly, waited 3 days to text, kept messages brief and mysterious, suggested drinks instead of dinner to keep it casual. Everything the dating coaches would approve of. And I was bored out of my mind, the kind of bored that makes you miss steady love like oxygen. "How was it?" Jasmine asked. "He did everything right," I said. "All the things I thought I wanted Ethan to do. The push-pull, the uncertainty, making me wonder if he's interested. It was exhausting." "So you'll see him again?" "No, I've already played these games. I know how they end." It just proved that no one would be Ethan. It made me miss him even more, made me more desperate to fix us instead of starting new. I started writing him a letter every week. Not to send, just to process. "Dear Ethan," they all began, followed by everything I couldn't say. How I'd replay our good moments at 3 a.m., how I'd learned to cook his grandmother's soup recipe from memory because it reminded me of Sunday dinners at his family's house. How I'd kept the ticket stub from our first movie date in my wallet like a talisman of when I knew how to accept love without testing it. 6 months after the breakup, I was finally starting to heal. Not move on. I didn't think I'd ever fully move on from Ethan. But at least function. I'd stopped driving by his apartment, stopped checking his social media from fake accounts, stopped hoping every unknown number was him finally calling back. Then I ran into Tyler at a brewery in Seminole Heights. He looked uncomfortable seeing me but didn't flee. Progress. "How is he?" I asked, not bothering with pretense. Tyler sighed. "Honestly, not great. Better than before, but Look, Melanie, I probably shouldn't tell you this, but he's in therapy now, working through trust issues, afraid to date because he can't tell anymore who's genuine and who's playing games. My stomach dropped. I did that to him? Yeah, you did. The most straightforward, honest guy I know, and you made him question everything. He told his therapist he can't even accept a compliment anymore without wondering what the angle is. God, Tyler, I'm so sorry. I know you are. I think he knows too. But sorry doesn't undo it, you know. He gave you everything. His time, attention, love, trust. And you told him it wasn't enough, that you needed him to perform for it. How does someone come back from that? He left me with my guilt and his untouched beer, another bridge I'd burned in my quest for power. As if the universe hadn't punished me enough, that same week I ran into his mom at Publix. She was kind but distant, the warmth I'd once known replaced by polite detachment. "How's Ethan?" I asked, hating how desperate I sounded. "He's good, really good. Living his best life," she said carefully. "You know, Melanie, I liked you. We all did. But what you did, trying to manipulate my son like that, he deserves someone who sees his worth without needing to play games." "I know," I said, because what else could I say? That I'd been following toxic advice from people who'd never had healthy relationships? That I'd confused drama with passion? That I'd had exactly what I wanted and destroyed it because Instagram told me I was giving my power away? She patted my arm sadly and walked away, leaving me standing in the cereal aisle, realizing I'd played myself. Leaving me in the cereal aisle, I felt a new kind of desperation. If his friends and his family hated me, I had to make him understand. That's when I started waiting outside his office again. That night, I did something I hadn't done in months. I looked at our old photos, scrolled through hundreds of pictures of a couple I barely recognized. Ethan teaching me to paddleboard at Weeden Island, both of us laughing as I fell off for the 10th time. Our weekend in Savannah, where he'd planned every detail but stayed flexible when I wanted to wander. Christmas morning at his parents' house, wearing matching pajamas his mom had bought us, looking like we belonged. In every photo, he looked at me like I was his whole world. And in every photo, I was already looking away, already planning my next move, already unable to just exist in the moment of being loved. My phone rang, startling me out of memory lane. Unknown number. My heart raced as I answered. "Hello? Miss Torres? This is Detective Raymond from Tampa PD. I'm calling about a restraining order filed by Ethan Mitchell." The world tilted. "What? A restraining order?" "He's filed paperwork stating you've been stalking him, showing up at his workplace, his gym, contacting his family and friends. Is this accurate?" I was just trying to apologize, to make things right. "Miss Torres, I need you to come to the station tomorrow morning. And effective immediately, you're to have no contact with Mr. Mitchell. No calls, texts, no showing up at places he frequents. Do you understand?" I hung up in shock. A restraining order. Rock Bottom had a basement, apparently. The next morning at the police station, I saw the full extent of what I'd done. Security footage of me waiting outside his office building multiple times. Screenshots of texts sent from various numbers after he'd blocked me. Testimonies from his friends about me showing up at group events uninvited. Laid out like that, it looked exactly like what it was. Stalking. "I didn't mean to," I told the detective. "I just wanted to fix things." "Mr. Mitchell made it clear he wanted no contact. You continued anyway. That's harassment, Miss Torres. You're lucky he's not pressing charges, just asking for a protective order." I signed the papers with shaking hands. No contact for 2 years. No going within 500 feet of his home, work, or gym. No contact with his family or friends. No social media interaction, direct or indirect. The legal system had given me exactly what I'd said I wanted. Complete power over my own life, with Ethan permanently removed from it. Dr. Williams had an emergency session with me that afternoon. "This is your rock bottom," she said bluntly. You pushed until the law had to get involved. What are you going to do now? I don't know. I've lost everything. No, you've lost Ethan. That's not everything. You still have your job, your friends, your family. You have the chance to learn from this and become someone who doesn't destroy good things. But sitting in her office, I couldn't see past the restraining order. I'd become the kind of woman who required legal intervention to leave a man alone. The kind of woman mothers warned their sons about. The kind of woman who took a good man's love and twisted it into something so toxic he needed police protection from it. That night, I wrote one last letter to Ethan. Not to send, I couldn't legally, but to say goodbye to any fantasy of reconciliation. Dear Ethan, you were right about everything. I didn't know what love meant. I thought it was power and control and making someone prove their worth over and over. You showed me it was eggs cooked exactly how I like them, and remembering my mom's birthday and being excited to introduce me to your friends. I turned something beautiful into something ugly because I didn't know how to accept being loved without condition. You gave me your whole heart, and I told you it wasn't enough because it came too easily. What kind of person does that? A broken one. But that's not an excuse. You weren't broken. You were whole and healthy and knew how to love without games. I'm the one who needed fixing, but instead of doing that work, I tried to break you down to my level. The restraining order is what I deserve. You deserve to move through the world without looking over your shoulder, wondering when I'll appear with another manipulation disguised as an apology. You deserve to heal without me picking at the wounds I created. I hope someday you trust again. I hope you find someone who sees your consistency as the gift it is, who appreciates that you say what you mean and mean what you say. I hope you fall asleep next to someone who doesn't need you to perform for their love, who just loves you back with the same steady certainty you offer. I'll be in therapy for a long time, trying to understand why I am the way I am, why I confused drama with passion, why I needed power more than partnership, why I destroyed the best thing in my life because it came too easily. You loved me when I didn't love myself. The tragedy is that instead of learning to love myself through your eyes, I punished you for seeing something in me I couldn't see. I made you pay for my insecurity with games and tests and power plays until you had nothing left to give. I'm sorry. Not the manipulative sorry that wants something back, but the kind that expects nothing and changes everything. The kind that means I'll spend the rest of my life making sure I never do this to anyone again. You're free now, free from my games, my tests, my need for control, free to find someone worthy of the love you have to give. And I'm free too, free to sit with the consequences of what I've done and maybe, eventually, become someone who deserves the kind of love you offered. Goodbye, Ethan. Thank you for showing me what love looks like, even if I was too broken to receive it. Thank you for having enough self-respect to walk away when I showed you who I really was. Thank you for the restraining order that forces me to face myself instead of chasing ghosts. I loved you in the only way I knew how. Badly. You loved me in the only way you knew how. Completely. The difference between those two things is why you're protected by law from me now. Forever, your ghost, Melanie. I sealed the letter in an envelope, wrote his name on it, and put it in a box with all our photos, his forgotten t-shirt, the ticket stubs, and memories of a relationship I'd murdered with my own hands. Then I drove to the beach at midnight, dug a hole in the sand, and buried it all. It was time to stop haunting Ethan and start the harder work of learning to live with myself. The restraining order wasn't just protecting him from me, it was protecting me from the temptation to keep destroying what was already dead. 2 years of legally mandated no contact. 2 years to become someone who could love without needing power, who could be loved without testing it, who could accept good things without sabotaging them. Maybe after 2 years, I'd be healed. Or maybe I'd just be someone who understood that some mistakes you pay for forever, some bridges stay burned, and some ghosts never get to come back to life. Either way, Ethan was safe from me now. It was the only gift I had left to give. My absence, enforced by law and measured in feet of distance and years of silence. The waves took the box out to sea and I didn't look back. I walked away, finally understanding that the power I'd wanted so badly was nothing compared to the love I'd thrown away. But understanding too late is just another kind of powerlessness, and that's the bed I'd made for myself to lie in. Alone.